Good morning and Happy New Year. Welcome back, everybody, divas and dudes at home. Glad you could join us. My name is Raquel de Hoyos. You know me. Today, we are starting the series off. I thought we would do it just because everybody is thinking about health in January, right? We've had our fun during the holidays. We've maybe overindulged a little bit, but as you know, I always say, indulge in moderation, enjoy the pleasure of all the holidays and whatnot. But we're gonna starting fresh again. It's a new year. That's always a great time to just kind of regroup, get back to the basics. And so that's what I thought we would do with this series. So this is going to be a 5-week series. So you guys get to see me for 5 weeks. Thank you for being up so bright and early today to be out. Our series is called Smoothies, Soups, and Salads. So what I wanted to do was not just talk about the fundamentals of nutrition. We're going to be going over vitamins and minerals and things that are important to get in our bodies, but also just how to make sure that we pair those things to get the most absorption and nutrition from those things, and to also just encourage us to add more colors, more fruits and vegetables to our diets, because that's always the number one thing that people tell you, right? If you want to stay healthy, you want to start on the right foot, try to incorporate some more things like fruits and vegetables, some fiber. And so today, what we're doing is we're really starting off easy because it's the beginning of the year. I don't know about you guys, but I have just kind of been stuck in like third gear. And I think when you're going, it takes a little while. And so I've been off for a couple of weeks, but I could use another month, honestly, of some rest. But something like smoothies, which is what we're going to do today, we've got two. We've got one that's a mango turmeric smoothie. So it's kind of like wine tasting. We're going to start with the light colored first, and then we're going to move on to the dark. We have a chocolate cherry smoothie that we're also going to try. So I like smoothies because they are the easiest way, aside from soups, to just get some more fruits and veggies into your diet. Kind of just blend them up, put all different combinations together. So we'll walk you through what we're going to do a little bit different this time is I'm going to do the first recipe. You guys will have a chance to try that. And then we're going to do a little bit of nutrition while my blender is getting cleaned. And then we're going to do the second recipe. But you guys will have a chance to try both because they're equally delicious. This mango turmeric one is one that I made because I love mango. If you all have noticed, we can get mango all different kinds here, usually seasonally. If you can't find it, you can always find it in the frozen section. So we're going to be using that today because it's a smoothie and we want things nice and cold. I think the key to some smoothies, some things to remember, I don't like them very sweet. So you know how you all are always teasing me about it doesn't have enough salt. You tell me if this one's sweet enough. I typically will make this one when I make it at home with like a protein powder that already has some kind of like monk fruit or something in it. So that's the sweetness for me. Or I might do like maple syrup, but that's going to add more sweetness. And if you'll look on the nutrition side, it's a little high in the sugars, but that's all fruit sugar, right? So we're using frozen mango. We're going to use some frozen banana, and then we're going to use some oranges. You guys know how much I love those Cara oranges, and right now they are on sale. So we have those today to use. The other things that we're going to put in this recipe are some celery. Celery is great for all sorts of things. It's one of those vegetables that has a great water content, so we want to make sure that we're also staying hydrated, right? But we've got our vitamin C. We've also got some fresh ginger, which is great to reduce inflammation, along with turmeric. So we've got two roots, one in the fresh form and one in the powdered form. So we're going to kind of change things up a little bit with that. And then I'm using as the base a vanilla almond milk. Now, what I used to use for this recipe, but I could not find anymore, it's a vanilla coconut milk. It's unsweetened though, and they don't make it anymore. I can't find it, but this one's just as good. So it's unsweetened, but it has a taste of vanilla, so that's also going to add some of the sweetness to this. So we're going to start with 1.5 cups of that. And you all tell me while I'm kind of pulling this together, what are some of your favorite combinations for when you make smoothies at home?
I like
ginger. Ginger's a common one. Okay, blueberries. Yeah, that's a good one. Frozen or fresh works really well.
I buy the frozen bag of mixed fruit.
The mixed fruit?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's good. Drink that in my chocolate cake every morning.
That's so great.
I've done that with the mixed fruits and then kimchi too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think some people get a little scared of doing things like greens, but I do have a version of this that I throw spinach into. You could easily add that to here and it's delicious. Okay, we're gonna add in the oranges. And so I'm just gonna take the peel off really quick here. And this is how I do that. Look at these beautiful oranges. Love these. I have been really disappointed with the citrus this winter because it has not been sweet. And I've been tricked into buying the bags that say super sweet and juicy, and they have not been this year. So I'm not sure what's going on. You would think because the weather's been warmer that they would be sweeter, but maybe they need more cold to be sweeter. Sometimes that happens too. And we've had such a mild, I was telling Jose, I've decided to call this season Fummer because it looks like fall and summer. But yeah, I think the citrus, something's going on with it. But I was very happy to see that these oranges showed up, and they were yesterday when I bought them 87 cents a pound, which is a deal. So get yourself some Cara oranges and make this smoothie this week because it's on sale. Probably just for a few more days. Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna pop those in there. I like to kind of add all my wet ingredients at the bottom just so my blender doesn't have to work as hard. And then we're going to add in our celery. So, you know, sometimes we talk about what do you do with all this kind of stuff? This is where you throw it into the smoothie, right? So I just need a cup of this. I'll take this. I've already washed this at home. And all these little weird ends, I'm just gonna chop it a little bit. That looks like it's about a cup. Let's give it a quick measure just to make sure. But nice fresh green celery. Lots of great nutritional properties. They say it's also good for helping to reduce blood pressure. So if any of you struggle with that, try some celery. I just like it just plain because it's got that nice crunchy texture, right? It's also great for, you can do with like almond butter. That's the ingredient for our other smoothie, but you could put some of that in there. Did anybody ever have that as a snack? Just kind of like peanut butter and celery sticks. That's always an easy one, right? Ooh, peanut butter and banana is always a good combo too. That would be great in a smoothie as well. I've done a couple of those before. Okay, and then we're gonna throw in our banana, which I froze last night. So we got a big banana here. I'm just gonna break that up a little bit. And then our ginger. So I just want, this is a pretty large piece. I'm gonna just take about a 1-inch piece of that because this ginger is pretty like spicy, right? When it's fresh. And I'm just gonna peel the outside. It's in this nice blender, so it probably, you know, you could leave the peel on if you wanted to. It's gonna really pulverize it, but for the sake of today, I'm gonna just peel it really quick here. And like I said, we've got our ginger root fresh, but we're also gonna add some turmeric. So just pop this in there. And then our turmeric is just 1 teaspoon. And that is it. And then we're gonna whip that up and you guys will get to taste this. So like I mentioned, you can add, oh, let's see, that's a half. I was like, that looks a little small. And it just makes a beautiful color too, which I like. I always say you eat with your eyes, right? So this is a smoothie that I like to enjoy super cold. If you wanted to, you could also throw in some ice cubes just to loosen it up a little bit and make it even colder. But today we're just doing it as is. So let me give this a quick blend and then you guys will get to try it. Okay, and then we're gonna have some samples of this passed out and you guys will get to try that. Okay, my lovely assistant who's gonna give some samples to, okay. So hopefully this will be enough for everybody to get a little try. Okay, so while that's happening, I'm just gonna clean up a little bit here and then we'll do the other recipe, but we'll talk a little bit of nutrition. So in addition, so if you guys take a look at this, It's a pretty simple recipe, right? Almond milk, you could use any kind of milk that you like. You could even use regular milk. Have you all tried anything else as far as like the liquid part? I know some people will do like coconut water, or just water if you have some sensitivities or nausea or something. Like if you want something really mild, but you still want the fiber and the fruit, you could try that. And then, yeah, I really like celery in a lot of things just because it has that great water content. It's a pretty mild flavor. I love the taste of celery, so I try to throw it in wherever I can. So this is our first one. But let's take a look at some of the nutrition. So like I said, I wanted us to kind of start with the basics, so sort of the fundamentals. Somebody had made a comment last, one of our last classes about how do we know what kinds of things we should be eating, right? And I often forget because, you know, people don't really memorize this unless maybe you're a dietitian. But there's a lot of information out there, and there's so much right now that's confusing around like supplements and things like that. My preference is always telling people, get what you need from food first. Obviously, people, if you have an illness that you're battling and you need some additional supplements, consult with your physicians, obviously, first. If you have a nutritionist or a dietitian that you consult, that's a great idea too. But I think when it comes to the basics, what I wanted to do was just kind of take us through what the vitamins do, what they're good for, right? Just as a good refresher. So today we're going to be focusing on vitamin A and B. There's a lot of things on the shelves out there. I was at actually the store looking at vitamins the other day because I've been feeling very low energy. And I was like, look at all of this. Like years ago, that there was not that many options. And now there's a vitamin for everything, right? And my mother's always talking about this doctor that she watches on this channel, and he's always recommending all these different like vitamins, and they're good for this and beets. And I'm like, he actually has a point. I appreciate it when a doctor will say, don't just take this pill, eat this, right? So I'm all for that. But let's talk first about what's the difference between fat and water soluble vitamins. Does anybody know? Just off the top of my head? Or off the top of your head? Okay, well, that's why we're here today. So I'm gonna put my glasses on because I need some vitamin. Which one is that? Vitamin A for your eyes. Yep. I don't know. I think I can eat only so many carrots at my age, and I don't think things are going to change. So, readers, it is. Okay, so fat soluble vitamins are vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. So these are vitamins that don't need to be consumed daily because our body actually keeps a reserve of these. They store it in the liver and body fat. And so they're best absorbed, though, with some kind of dietary fat like olive oil. We've talked about that a lot in classes, past classes. Nuts, things like avocado. So think fat soluble. These are the particular vitamins. And so sometimes when you have people who are taking all these supplements because they're like, it's good for this, I need to be taking this, you can develop too much, and that builds up toxicity in the body. So you have to be careful with that. So just remember, these particular vitamins are fat soluble. Take them with some kind of healthy fats, but you don't have to necessarily take an additional supplement for them to be maximized in your body. Water soluble vitamins are your B complex and C vitamins. And they need to be consumed regularly because any excess gets excreted in our urine. So this is one of those, if you think about right now, this is the time, right? We're going to talk about that actually next week, vitamin C. But there are some things that we do tend to take during certain seasons or things that are happening, like we want to ward off infection and keep our bodies healthy, right? But these are ones that you can take in pill form, capsules. They have gummies now for everything. There is a low risk of toxicity in these particular vitamins, but a higher deficiency potential because you're excreting that right through your urine. So just kind of keep your levels checked. And so this is one of those things that I often will tell people. If you're feeling a little out of whack, I think we talked about this in a couple of classes in the past too. Like the first good thing to do is to see your doctor and to get some blood work done, right? Like they always start with that. But sometimes you can see where you're deficient in something. I've had deficiencies in iron, in vitamin D. When I first moved out to the West Coast where it's dark for months out of the year, my vitamin D was so low and I had no idea how it was affecting my system until they put me on kind of a mega dose to get me back up to speed. And that's sometimes what happens. So listen to your body, I guess, is the moral of the story there, and get yourselves checked regularly if something feels a little bit off. So just as a refresher, vitamin A is good for, important for healthy vision. It helps our bodies fight infection, and it aids in healthy cell and tissue growth. So this is a great one to incorporate. And like I said, where can we find it in foods? This one actually, you can find it in both animal and plant-based foods. So in animal sources, you can find it in things like liver. Okay, quick show of hands, and you folks at home, who likes liver here? Who has grown up eating it or still cooks it and loves it?
Have it that often, but
I actually do too. I grew up eating it. It is stinky as whatever, right? It is
Yes.
like not the nicest thing to smell cooking, but it is some of the tastiest. And it is good. It's high in iron as well, but also high in vitamin A. So if you are a fan of that, that's one source that you can find it in. Fish is another source, as are eggs and dairy. Okay. As far as plant-based, where you can find vitamin A, obviously carrots, right? That's what people tend to think of. And then think of anything that is this color, right? So in this particular smoothie, we have two things. We have the mango and we have the oranges. So kind of a double dose there. Sweet potatoes, cantaloupe are also another source of vitamin A. And then if you also think of kind of the dark leafy greens, somebody mentioned kale, kale, spinach, those are also great sources of vitamin A. Now, when it comes to the B complex or B vitamins, these are complex. There are many of them, and people always talk about, make sure you take your B. Are you, taking your B vitamins? There's so many out there, and they come as a group, right? So there's basically 8 of these, and that's why they call it B complex, because there's a group of 8. And they work together to help your body turn food into energy, and that also support cell health. So this is a great one if you're fighting disease, if you're going through some kind of infection or illness. These are great ones to have. This is really small to read. My apologies. I'm going to put my glasses on for this one. But let's just take a look down the list here. So you have B1 through B9, and then you have a B12. You may have heard of some of these: riboflavin, niacin. You may see these added to things like cereals, breads, right? They're often called fortified foods because they've had these added to them. Biotin is a pretty popular one right now. It's good for hair, skin, and nails. And then B9 is also a great one for folate, folic acid. Great when we're talking about maternal health and also cell division. And then the B12 is important for red blood cell and nerve health. So these are kind of the combination. And where can we find them? You can definitely take, your supplements, but here's where you can find them in food. So also you can find them in a variety of animal and plant-based and whole grain foods, like I mentioned, the cereals, the breads. So you can find them in whole grains, some legumes, some seeds. You can also find them in a lot of dairy products, eggs, red meat, avocados, which I think we're all fans of here. Fish, bananas are also a great source of B6, it says here. Biotin, egg yolks, if you didn't know that. And then folate, look for your dark leafy greens, thank you. And citrus fruits. And then the B12, you can find it in red meat, fish, and dairy. So anything on here that you guys were not familiar with, or was this kind of a good refresher? Question?
I just wanted to know why do they ask you to drink a lot of water when you take this type of vitamin, if you take it by supplement?
That's a good question. Well, I'm not exactly sure. I know when you have to take like a lot of medications, you want to kind of keep your system flushed, right? You want the medication to absorb, but I think like we were talking about, some of these vitamins, they are naturally excreted. So if you're drinking water, it doesn't matter. They're still going to be excreted. Some of them, though, you want them to stay in your body. You don't want them to be diluted. So that's interesting. Has it been a physician who's been telling you that, or just kind of you've been hearing sort of, because there's always stuff out there kind of.
I remember the first time I had chemo, I think they wanted me to, well, I became anemic, so I had to take vitamin B, but I can't remember if they told me or if it was on the bottle that said I needed to take so many glasses of water.
Interesting. I will have
It
to look.
wasn't like
Yeah,
a gallon or half a gallon or anything
Yeah.
like that, but it's just plenty of water.
interesting. I'll have to look into that. I will have an answer for you, a more specific answer for you next week. That's a great question, though. Thank you. Anyone else? Anything new? Okay. Well, this is great. So, like I said, we're going to kind of start. We'll go through a couple of vitamins, and then the last couple of weeks, we'll talk about the vitamins to take with different minerals, kind of the pairings together, so that you get the maximum absorption. Because sometimes people will take them and they're like, I don't feel any different. And it's like we were talking about with turmeric. You have to pair it with black pepper, and you have to consume, a certain amount for it to be pretty effective. People who are taking turmeric can actually have an excess of it if they're taking too much. So that's one thing to be careful of. I'm not a doctor, but I definitely sort of rely on food sources first. That's always a good bit of advice, just because if you're able to consume, if you're able to, digest most of these foods, that's a great way also to get fiber, right? I know they sell fiber gummies now too, and there's all sorts of other things that you can do for fiber, but I'm always going to be a proponent of food first. Okay, so we're going to move on to our second recipe. What do you guys think of the mango smoothie? Mango turmeric. It's fresh, right? It's light. It's not super sweet. But like I said, if you wanted a touch more sweetness, you could add in like a powder, a little maple syrup, some honey. I tend to, like when I make my smoothies too, I don't know about you guys, I tend to do them and I'll have maybe like that much. I'll have maybe half of that with something for breakfast, and then I'll save the rest for later in the afternoon. So I probably don't let these go longer than a day just because I want them as fresh as possible. And sometimes, like with the turmeric, it can be a pretty earthy flavor and it might taste a little bitter if you leave it for like a day or two. I had a friend a couple of years ago who always had smoothies, but she would do the weirdest combinations and she would bring them in a mason jar. And sometimes they just looked terrible because they were just like these brown. So I always try to kind of keep the colors bright and lively and just, just so that the pairings look right and they taste right and fresh. But she loved it, and it was great that she was consuming. Like sometimes it doesn't matter. I do tend to eat with my eyes, so when she brought in the brown ones, I was kind of like, what's in there? Okay. All right, so we are going to move on to our other smoothie, which is the chocolate cherry. This is probably one of my favorite combinations. For this one, you could use the same milk, but we're going to mix it up, and we're going to do 2 cups of oat milk on this one. There are so many different plant-based milks. Has anybody tried any kind of like the macadamia nut or the hemp milk? That's actually a great one too. Any different plant-based milks that you guys like to use or cook with?
I like soy milk.
Soy and oat, yeah. Oat's been really popular lately. They've done good marketing because it's everywhere. And I think, I've gone, since I've not been able to do a lot of dairy, I can now, but not years ago. And so I've tried everything. I started with soy milk. I ended up with this almond coconut. I went through that phase and now I'm onto oat milk. But it is really cool to see how they've been able to just sort of engineer sort of the texture and the flavor so that I really don't miss milk. I've had it from time to time, but I kind of prefer the flavor of these more now, actually. Okay, so this one's going to be a little dose of protein because we've got 2 things in there. One is this, I made these also dairy-free in case anybody can't do dairy. This is one of my favorite yogurts. This one's plain, but you can also get this high protein in vanilla. And it's a coconut yogurt. So we're going to use just a half a cup of that. And I tend to put this, you could use the vanilla one if you wanted this to be a little sweeter, but it doesn't have to be. I think the cherries that we're going to add in here are great. The almond butter has its own kind of natural sweetness as well. So that's just half a cup of that. You could use a regular yogurt too. There's so many out there. We really do have a lot of options, and sometimes that's overwhelming, right? You go to the store and you're like, oh my God, do I really need 47 different types of yogurt? But there's a yogurt for everyone, so it's nice that we have so many options. Okay, and then we're also gonna do 1 cup of these frozen cherries. You can do any kind of frozen cherries that you'd like. Just make sure there's no pits in them, and usually they have taken the pits out. Our blender will let us know. So be careful. I used to make muffins, and I would buy frozen cherries, and occasionally I would find a pit in there, but luckily I would chop them before I put them in my mixer, so word to the wise. Okay, and then we're gonna do a 1/4 cup. So this is no sugar added. It's actually pretty sweet as it is, and I don't know about you guys, but I always hate having to mix this up. So this is pre-mixed. I did that last night too. So, because you want to make sure that, it sort of has that oil and it separates, but it's pretty well mixed up. So it's just 1/4 of that. I love almond butter. You could just do peanut butter too, but something about this almond butter that has a nice sweetness to it, and it's protein, right? So we want that. All right. And a couple other ingredients that are going to go in here to make it the chocolate cherry. Do you guys remember when we were talking about chocolate? What's the type of chocolate that's always touted as really good for our health? That's right. So dark chocolate, here's a pop quiz. I know it's early on a Saturday, but dark chocolate has something in it that is something that we eat during the holidays that helps us, that makes us a little sleepy. Do you know what that is? Or what it's called? Yes. Yes. So sometimes people don't realize that, but dark chocolate helps with sleep because it helps us produce serotonin, which is what the brain needs, right, to regulate our sleep. But I didn't know that for many years, and I was like, what thing that I love actually will help make me sleepy? Because you think it's counterintuitive because chocolate also has caffeine in it. So kind of you have to time it right and sort of dosage, but it also has that. Before I add that though, I'm gonna add in a frozen banana, just like we did in our last smoothie, just to help with a little bit of the sweetness too. I like to do, I don't know how you guys do it, but when I get really ripe bananas, don't throw those away. Just peel them and put them in a bag like this and save them up and add them to whatever. Make banana bread, right? That's a common thing. Or just add them to your smoothies. We're also going to do 1 tablespoon of vanilla. A tablespoon, yes. So that's going to be some good flavor there. And then we'll do 2 tablespoons of our baker's cocoa. So it's a dark chocolate, has no sugar, right? It's not sweetened. And there's all different kinds. Experiment. There's like the, I think it's the Ghirardelli brand that has some nice varieties. But just the regular store brand will do too. I used to purchase different ones online when I was baking just to try them out. And chocolate is great. It's very complex. It can have different flavor profiles. So if you're into that sort of thing, give it a try with different types. Okay, and that's pretty much it, right? I didn't forget anything? No, I think I got it all. Okay. So also another quick, easy one, and we're just gonna give that a spin, and then you guys will get to try that. Okay, this is like the ultimate chocolate shake. So we're gonna pass some of this out so you guys can give that a try. But that is pretty much it. So what do you guys think about this one? I know you haven't had a chance to try it, but ingredient-wise, like, is this something that you all would be willing to give a try?
Oh, yeah.
Can you substitute the almond butter for maybe sunflower butter?
Yeah. If you can't do the nuts and you can do sunflower, absolutely.
Leave it out altogether.
You could leave it out. Yeah, absolutely. If you're not a fan of it, I would definitely give it a try though, because it has. I mean, unless you're you have an allergy to that. But yeah, sunflower butter works really well too. I've done kind of like granola bars, and for some clients who couldn't do nuts, and sunflower butter works fantastic. Yeah, it has kind of a funky smell, I always think, when I open the jar, but once you have it in food, it actually tastes really good. Or another thing that I've done with it is, like, if you like sort of like Thai cuisine and you wanted to make a peanut sauce, it works really well with that. If you mix it with like tahini, a little soy sauce, maybe sesame oil, and just kind of some water and garlic to just kind of loosen it and give it a little more kind of savory flavor. It works pretty well for that too. I've done so many different things with all these ingredients over the years. So, but yeah, so this chocolate smoothie, if you guys, I wanted to point out, if you'll notice, it has quite a bit of protein, right? Because we've added that yogurt and the almond butter. So if you wanted to leave it out, just know it still will be pretty good in protein. It's got about 16 grams right now, which is pretty awesome, just for a serving. And this makes about 4, although you guys are going to have a little sample of it. But mix and match ingredients. I mean, these are all, what I wanted to do is just kind of show you some different flavor profiles. So we had something that was a little bit lighter, more refreshing, right? If sometimes people in the morning can't tolerate breakfast, and maybe that's your thing. Like I noticed as I've gotten older, I can't either. And I have a lot of digestive stuff going on recently, so I have to kind of pace myself. But a smoothie like the first one that we featured is a little easier on my stomach. If you have issues with reflux, though, the ginger might be a little too much for you, so just take that out, right? Find ways to make substitutions, but this is a great way to just start to incorporate something that's nutritious, that has a little bit of fiber in it. The protein, obviously, I saw something. I'll see if I can find a link to share with you all before the series comes to a close, but everybody right now is talking about protein, 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 right? Like how important it is, and it is. But I heard a dietitian validate something which I think a lot of people need to hear more of, which is at some point your body can only absorb so much protein and you're just consuming extra calories, which is then also going to cause you to increase in weight, right? Because you're consuming those extra calories and your body doesn't know what to do with that. So I think when people sort of just promote protein, they have to be very careful. Like we all have different levels of activity in our lifestyle, and so that's the thing. But protein is good for us. It helps us stay strong, gives us the energy. It's good for us also as our muscles start to decline, right? As we get older, we need that. But find the protein that you enjoy. A smoothie is a great way to incorporate that. You saw how we easily did that, but just by adding some yogurt or something like a nut butter, if you can do that. So I wanted to kind of show you the differences of like one that's a very simple light and one that has kind of all this extra stuff added to it. But you could find something in between and just do something very easy. So that is pretty much our class for today. This is an easy one to kind of get us started, but we have some great things coming. So we've got 2 soup recipes coming in the next couple of weeks, and then we've got some wonderful salad recipes as we kind of tie things and wrap things up towards the end of the series. But we have 5 weeks, so I'm super excited that you guys came on board and I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks. If you have any questions, I will get an answer to your question because now I'm curious about that too. But yes, please let me know if you have any other questions. And then it looks like we've got some samples coming around soon here. So thank you so much, you guys, and we'll see you next week.